Hello, my name is David Ashton. I'm joined by my colleague Stewart Gregory. We're both partners in the commercial property department at Rix & Kay. We thought it would be worthwhile looking at what alternatives a landlord could look for if a rent deposit is not used or possible.
I think last time we did look at the rent deposit deed, and I think you're right, David. I think to say that the rent deposit deed is the most common form of security is right, but there are alternatives, and it is just worth exploring what they might be. And I think the first one to look at would be a bank guarantee. So the bank stands behind the performance of the tenant to guarantee the tenant's performance of the lease obligations. Banks don't like entering into anything other than financial obligations, so that can be an issue for landlords. The second one that we could think about, and for certain tenants, would be parent company guarantee. So if a tenant has a parent company, will that parent company stand behind it? That is okay for those companies that do have that corporate structure, but a couple of problems with that could be, what if the parent wants to sell the subsidiary out of the group and therefore won't want to be guaranteeing performance of that subsidiary anymore? And also, what if the parent is a foreign company and there are issues over enforcement out of jurisdiction? The third option would be a director guarantee, whereby the directors of the company stand behind the company rather than the parent company standing behind. Appropriate for those companies that don't have that corporate structure. But that does mean that the directors are putting their own personal assets on the line and therefore not very popular. And then the final one, I think, to think about would be letters of credit. So we're substituting a bank's creditworthiness for the tenant's creditworthiness. So very attractive to landlords, but not used that much in the UK. Used a lot in the US, but not so much in the UK.
Yes, my understanding is, and just to sort of supplement a couple of things there, banks, when they give guarantees, probably don't want to give that guarantee indefinitely, so they'll be looking for a guarantee for a certain period of time. And as you say, the letter of credit is something more appropriate when you're dealing with overseas entities. But at the end of the day, it's all a question of what the tenant is offering in the way of a financial strength. And we mentioned in our last video the test that the tenant would need to make pass before the landlord will consider whether or not such collateral security is going to be needed in the form of these sort of alternatives. And the other thing to bear in mind is it depends on what's happening out there in the big wide world and what the commercial situation is, because clearly if there is a lot of empty property out there and landlords are keen to get tenants, then they may well waiver any requirement to have collateral security. So at the end of the day, we are talking about alternatives to rent deposits, which are probably still going to be the easiest way for a landlord to get their hand on their money. So hopefully this information has been useful, and on our next visit we will be talking about how landlords can get their hands on that money and withdraw money from the rent deposit.